My name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin Rugby, where with the help of some fellow fans, I get the chance to harp on what's going on with Leinster, Ireland, and the wider rugby world. Joining me first is someone making his 52nd appearance on the pod. Welcome back to Mr. Mark Jackson.
Evening, Jeff. Evening, Jay.
Good to see you. And our second guest may only be earning cap number 12, but he's still in his first season with us, and he's definitely a contender for our Rookie of the Year award. Welcome back to Mr. Jay Long.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me back. How are you, Mark?
And that all brings us to our final thoughts, starting with Mark.
As we said, deserved win for Ulster. They took their chances. We didn't. I thought our decision making at times was left a lot to be desired. Just a touch on the line-out maul and us going for the corner. Every year it's gotten less and less. You know, you can remember back, and I might put this squarely on the execution of the players at times, but also on, you know, I'm not blaming the coaches, but Robin McBride, since he's took over, you know, when Fogarty was the Leinster forwards coach, it was almost a guarantee we would score one maul try again. You know, the ball going to, and then going back a few years now, you know, this is for the last 4 or 5 years, it's something that we scored less and less maul tries in a game. It sets up little plays off it, don't get me wrong. Dan Sheehan has scored plenty of maul tries, but whereas before, anything within 22 meters, kick to the corner, anything within 10 meters, you're probably thinking, yeah, we're going to score here. You know, we're going to put the defense under severe pressure. It's gotten less and less every year. But as Jay rightly said, throughout this game, you know, 3 points is a big lead. You know, Ulster have to score at least one try. And we gave a penalty chance to a team that, for a while, you looked at Doak was going to take it, and you thought, yeah, he's going to absolutely try and twat the hell out of this ball here. But then Cooney steps over, and the ball just gets over the line. But he stroked it as if it was 22 meters out. You know, he was at the edge of his range, and that's when Cooney took the ball off of Doak. Went, damn it, he's going to get this. You know, he's a superb kicker, but he hasn't got the longest range in the world. You know, if that was at Croke Park, I don't think he gets that. You know, if there's an extra couple of meters on it there, like any good kicker, he probably stole a meter from where the penalty was given. And, you know, the second it was put down, you're like, yeah, here we go. We're going to have to find something to put us in a position. And I know you said on the group yourself why we didn't go for a drop goal at one stage. I think it was the end of the first half, possibly. You know, next week that might be massive. You know, it's going to Toulouse are a different team. Yeah, they've conceded. I know Tom made a good point. Quinn's line-out maul was excellent against Toulouse, and they conceded some points. It's something I'm sure they've worked on over the last few weeks, and won't be as porous come Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next week. But we just have to build leads. We have to build leads a lot better, you know, especially coming to the end of the season, where because of our faults in this game, we're probably going to have to go to Limerick or Pretoria, you know, if we win our quarterfinal. We'll hopefully do enough against Connacht in 2 weeks' time to secure a home quarterfinal. But after that, it's a bit of a lottery. You know, Munster, for us taking the mickey or whatever, you know, they won last year. They're top for a reason again. You know, they're a bloody hard team to beat. They seem to be edging out wins when they're not playing well, which is something we're not doing. You know, and we need to learn that. I'm a bit disappointed Sam Prendergast didn't get at least 20 minutes more. I know our friends in Gibraltar might think he didn't get 73 minutes more. I may not disagree with Richard on that one. But it was disappointing from, as Jay and myself have mentioned, those experienced leader guys, 11 internationals. I thought Jack Conan actually had a pretty strong game. He may not have had the lung bursting breaks that you might expect in a game like this, but he did some dirty stuff, right? I think Kelleher needs to have a look at himself. He overthrows far too often for my liking. And in big games that are coming up, you know, he needs to tighten up a little bit. And I thought Harry he wasn't as bad as probably he thought on the surface. But again, I would take a cliche right out of the top drawer, and you got to take treat the game a little bit more carefully. I thought he looked loose. Um, I would have expected more kicking, especially from the 10 channel than the 9. And I'd prefer to see Harry. He's got a great boot on him. Put some raking kicks into the corners, as opposed to getting into really turgid box kicking battle, which is something we're not good at. I don't
and
care what anybody
taking
says.
more himself as well. He's more than
Yeah,
capable. More
you
than
know,
capable of bringing it. And we scored a try after one of those when he did.
he's not 21 anymore. He's
Yeah.
25, 26 years of age. He has experience. You'd expect him to boss a game better. You know, I would anyway. You know, if we are expecting to win next weekend, which I think we can, you know, I don't think Harry's going to be involved in 23. I think it'll be down to Ross and Kieran Froy to steer the ship. And I think they're better at it, to be honest with you. Ross is not as flash as Harry may be. I think Harry needs to back himself a bit more. He just needs to take that little bit. I like 9s and 10s that are a little bit cocky. I don't think Harry's cocky enough, to be honest with you. I know he's had some bad press over the years, and the other 3 provinces do take the mick out of him a little bit more than we do, but I expect more. I expect more from Harry. I expected more from Max Deegan. I thought he had a good game, but good isn't good enough at this stage of the season. You know, we expect better. We expect better, and that's their own doing from being a superb team and consistently superb. We're now in a position in the URC where we're not used to being third or fourth. You know, the addition of the South African teams, the improvement to the Scottish sides, you know, have really tightened up that league. You know, it's not a gimme anymore that we're going to get a home quarter and a home semi, and we have to be realistic about it. That result, that sort of abjectness in trying to close the game out, has probably cost us a home semi final.
Yeah, and just on that that drop goal thing, just quickly, like I did say it at the time, the end of the first half, but when we were reviewing the timeline, I forgot to mention it because I've given up on hoping that Irish teams, provincial test, whatever, would have a drop goal option in their back pocket. I've been saying it for years. It's just a play you have to have. It's a play that just sometimes you're going to need in a game, in a tight game, in the final seconds, just to have a system that you set it up and you have a guy back in the pocket and he pops it over, and that was a perfect time to just at least have it, because if the defense is stopping you, there's no way you're scoring a try. You can at least, you're under the post, have a go, you know. And against a team like Toulouse, and who do that, they do that quite a bit, the top 14 as well. It's you know, every point's going to count. But listen, that's neither here nor there. It's just not something we do. What's your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, it was a strange game, right? Where we won a half, we should have lost, and we lost a half, we should have won. We were arguably the better side the second half. We created more, and we didn't execute. And we can say that it was down to selection, and probably was. It was probably down to injuries too. But we should have done better. But I guess the main thing is it's as Mark very, very well put it there. This league isn't a gimme anymore. And there's a big occasion next week that obviously the coaching ticket felt this selection warranted. So that selection, for the game we're speaking about, it was an aid of keeping guys fresh for the week after. So it's up to the squad now to make it worth it, right? We've sacrificed something here. We very likely will need to travel for a semi-final should we get there in the URC. So it's we need to go make it worth it now next week in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Otherwise you're going to have to look back on this and ask questions, right? But in terms of the performance, to bring some positives out of it, I thought it was great to see Hugo back firing. Doesn't seem to have missed a beat. he's incredible. He seems to be the ultimate professional. Hits the ground running. I thought Cormac Foley looks like a gem. I think he's one for us for a long time to come. Um, and I agree with Mark. I would have liked to have seen him at 9 for longer. Um, and there's a couple of guys who had some nice flashes. I thought Ben Brownlee looks like a good prospect. He convinced me yesterday in a all round not great functioning team that he's a player of a better caliber than I had initially appraised him for. So that's even probably more impressive. But overall, it was a disappointing day, right? Where we looked like we were set to snatch that one after a pretty poor first half, and then to follow up what could have been a lovely smash and grab job with a pretty milk water second half in terms of delivery, was disappointing. So hopefully, it's one the guys can chalk off and put down to what it was in terms of it was a tough Interpro against a quality Ulster squad where we didn't fire, but we were damn close anyway. So it is what it is. We took a point away. We didn't come away empty-handed. We probably, definitely should have at least got, I think we should at least got the try bonus point, even if we didn't win the game. I think it was definitely there for us. Yeah, but obviously, on the day, that try bonus point meant we would have won. But we definitely had 4 tries in us. I think Ulster probably had the guts of 4 or 5 tries that they butchered 3 anyway. But yeah, it was, it's been a rough few weeks in the URC for Leinster fans, Ospreys excluded. So, as I said, the guys need to just circle the wagons now and make it worth it, and bring 125% next week and against the Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, the URC is what it is, and we're going to come back to it then the following week. But I suppose one thing we have been able to do is put in that put whatever the performances we've had the previous weeks behind us and come up with that one performance. I mean, the 2 results against La Rochelle stand out. I know they're not having a great season themselves, but we still had to produce on the day and come up with, and it's been kind of unique plans on the day. It's not a normal kind of game. They sort of tailor a team, and we're probably going to need that again for next week. So maybe just to finish off, we'll just have a quick look at the 23. We're going to, obviously it's going to be very different 23 looking at the final. And what I've done is I've asked the lads to take sort of units and look at what kind of team we're going to be put together. So it's kind of this is going to be a 23 by committee we're doing now, but still it's a interesting kind of exercise. I've given Jay the backs. We'll start with yourself and see what kind of backline we'll be putting out in London.
Yeah, I think very much like the Saints post the South Africa tour. I think we can tell an awful lot by who wasn't there in the game in Ulster. So I would see very little changes to our starting back line from against the Saints. So I think we may just start Jameson Gibson Park. I think that's probably I think Jambo's on the pitch. I think at this stage Ross is obviously the guy at 10. I think we'll see James Lowe at 11. By necessity, with Ringer not getting back to fitness and getting game time, I'm assuming we'll see Osborne and Robbie Henshaw again at 12 and 13. And in saying that, I see no real reason to not go out to do that. It's not been detractive for us. I think Osborne's been a pretty much an inspiration. People are saying that maybe they're a bit too similar, but they're definitely the best combination we have available. And I don't think you're going to risk putting Gary Ringrose back in there, even if he's available, which I seriously doubt he will be. And I think 14 is probably somewhere where we could possibly see some movement here. Jordan Larmour has flourished under the kind of Jack Nienaber defensive system where he's really seemed to have matured in terms of sticking to script when he should, but also known to throw the script out the window when he should as well. So we've seen a bit of resurgence from Larmour, but with Jimmy O'Brien back there as well, I think that's possibly the only position that's kind of up for grabs between who gets there in the day. I personally think we probably will see Larmour. He's certainly done enough in big games this season to hold on to that jersey, and I think it's up to Jimmy to maybe grab it back off him, which I think he's well able to do too. And again, I think we may just see Mr. Hugo Keenan at fullback. I think he's deserves a go at fullback for us. So yeah, that'd be my starting back line next week.
Yeah, that looks right. Yeah, 14 does seem to be the call. I mean, the only other thing is the centers. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if either was wearing 12 or 13
Yeah.
between Henshaw and Osborne. And even if they do, whatever numbers they wear, they're going to be chopping and changing throughout the game as well, showing different pictures and stuff. So that's going to be that. Yeah, I'd say Larmer. He's kind of played his way into that. Jimmy O'Brien's only just back from injury, so you don't know, but it's going to be a big call for sure. And okay, so Mark's going to take a look at the starting pack for us.
I think there's one position possibly up for debate. There's one of the second rows. I think the other 7 players probably picked themselves. So it'll be Andrew Porter at 1, Dan the Man Sheehan at 2, Jukebox at 3. One second row will definitely be Joe McCarthy, and then the other one I personally would probably pick Jason Jenkins to start. And then you have the bench decision yourself. Do we go 5-3 or 6-2? So it could be 2 second rows on the bench potentially, but 6 will be Ryan Baird, 7 Josh van der Fleer, and 8 Caelan Doris, who will probably captain the side for me.
Yeah, that seems to make that seems to be a good way to go. I mean, Ryan had played a prolonged shift on on Saturday, and he was one of the nominated captains at the start of the season. Now I know they shouldn't be thinking of who's going to be lifting a trophy at the end of a game, but I think the ideal would have been for him to start as the captain because he's one of the nominated captains. But you do have to think of his fitness as well, what kind of shift he's likely to put in. It's going to be an attritional game, and for him to be able to come on and give it all for 20, 30 minutes at the end of the game might be a better option. And having Jenkins I think he's had a great season for Leinster, and he's been involved in pretty much all of our games. I think there's only 3 or 4 where he hasn't had some kind of involvement, and he's done well.
Yeah, I think one thing he's definitely added to his game here compared to Munster. Munster didn't see the best of him. They had complaints that he came up here. He was injured quite a lot, and for whatever reasons, they never saw the best of him. But he's a very good lineout option as well. He's a big old lump, but the boys are strong enough in the gym. Obviously, you see the pictures of Porter every week, just adding plates upon plates. So he's well able to get Jenkins into the air, and he's become an extra line out option for what is a tight head second row, really, and usually used for his grunt and his shift and his scrummaging prowess. He's he's a sneaky good line out operator, sneaky good.
Absolutely, and yeah, so that's looking like the lineup for the pack. Yeah, I personally, I was looking at the bench. I was going to go 6-2. I mean, they literally they have options either way, but I'm just thinking I think Will Connors just needs to be involved. It'd be great to be able to bring him on for that last 20, 30 minutes to be chopping trees and doing what he does. And but he's got other aspects to his game as well, as we saw and we've seen it this season. But I think that'll be the main reason for having him there. Jack Conan, you'd want him involved as well if possible to come on towards the end. So you've got Ryan, Connors, Conan able to come on, as well as I mean, it's a bench front row that kind of picks itself as well. I suppose you got Kelleher, Church, and 5 A's towards the end, and then of course that leaves there's a lot of talk for Foley on the bench. It won't happen. They won't put him in. It's going to be Luke McGrath, but I think it's important to say we've been bigging up Foley. He's had a good season when he had a bit of injury issues as well, but he's shown himself to be a really good option, and just to have his name in the conversation for this game, I think is important. But it will be Luke McGrath, and of course that leaves Frawley as our backup, versatile kind of 23 there. So that's the but. That's a decent 23. A lot to talk about there, and we'll see how that works out throughout the week. Well, listen, lads, that was a great chat. We're going to leave it there. Thanks again to Mark and Jay for joining me, and listen, I hope to have you on again soon, and we'll just about make it through the week anyway, and see how we get on next weekend. Thanks, lads.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Jeff.
guys.
Thanks, Mark.